Hey, it's Gino here from Real Everyday English. This week we're going to be covering English Grammar in Use, Unit 7, the Present Perfect. Let's do this. Happy Sunday, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to be covering the Present Perfect, which is quite a complicated tense, but I'm sure we can begin to understand it a little bit more with this explanation video. So let's start off with the two main uses, and the two main uses of the present perfect. One, to describe something that happened in the past, but it's not important when it happened. And the other main use, there are others, the other main use is to describe something that happened in the past but continues to happen in this present moment. So first thing to explain is, although this tense is called the present perfect, you are actually explaining things that happened in the past, but they are connected to the present in some way. So to form a present perfect sentence, you are going to need the auxiliary verb have, which is to have done something, not have as in possess. So you need the auxiliary verb to have, and then you add the past participle. So let's talk about how we conjugate the auxiliary verb to have. So for I and you, these are the singular forms. For I and you, as in you, one person, it is have. I have seen that show. You have been to France. For he, she, and it, these are also singulars. He, she, and it, the auxiliary verb have becomes has. And then for the plural forms, so that's we, you, as in you, group of people, and they, it becomes have. So now we know how to conjugate the auxiliary verb to have. We need to look at how to conjugate the verb types, or the different verb types, into the past participle. So to form a present perfect sentence with a regular verb, you are going to need have or has, depending on who you're talking about, plus the infinitive form of the verb, plus ed. So to give you some examples, the verb to work would become worked. They have worked all night. Another example, the verb to rain, it is raining outside. Rain becomes rained. So it has rained all day. Having said that, we need to be a little bit careful with verbs that end in E. For example, the verb to close. Close, close the book, close the door, close the window. So when a verb ends in E, you simply add D. You don't add another E and then D. So it doesn't become closed, it becomes closed. So, I have closed the book. Another verb type we need to be careful with are verbs that end in Y, but when the Y is preceded by a consonant. So for example, the verbs to spy or to study. And what we do here is we remove the Y, so we take away the Y and we replace it with I-E-D. So to give you an example, the verb to spy becomes spied. The verb to study becomes studied. If you don't know what spy means, it means when you're watching somebody through binoculars, for example, but they don't know that you're watching them. So that's the verb to spy. And everybody's favourite, the irregular verbs. Now, with irregular verbs, you really do just have to learn them, but I'll give you two examples here. So, the irregular verb to think. So, in the present perfect, you need have or has, again, plus the past participle. But the past participle has its own unique form. So, for example, the verb to think, I'm thinking. I have thought about moving to Spain. I have thought, so think becomes thought. Another irregular verb to show you would be the verb to build. So to build is to construct something. So I build a house. I build a relationship. It's not necessarily constructing something physical, but something that's not physical. So this becomes built. So build becomes built. I have built my house. We can also use the present perfect in questions to find out if someone has done something, but it's not important necessarily when. You're not inquiring when they did it, you just want to know if they've done it. So to give you an example, you could say, have you packed your suitcase? Have you packed your suitcase? You're not asking when, you're just asking if they have done it. A suitcase, by the way, is the thing that you put all your clothes into when you're going on holiday. So have you packed your suitcase? Present perfect. We can also use it in negations or negatives, as some people might like to say. So for this, you're going to need have or has plus not, which becomes haven't and hasn't. Then you plus the past participle. Stay with me, I know it's complicated. So, for example, the news, las noticias, I don't listen to the news. So, I could say something like, I haven't listened to the news for 2 years. And that is how you use the present perfect in a negative or in a negation. Okay, so as I described in the beginning of the video, here are the main uses. So the first one is to describe something that happened in the past, but it is not important when it happened. So, an example, I have been to Spain. In that sentence, it isn't important when I went, it's important for you to know that I have been, that I went. I have been to Spain. Another example of that would be, they have bought a new car. It's not important when they bought it, it's just important that they have bought a new car. The second main use is to describe something that happened in the past, but continues in the present moment. So for example, the verb to know someone. I know my friend, or I have known someone. You could say something like, I have known my best friend since we were children. So I have known, it's in the past, but we continue to know each other in the present day. Another example of that would be, they have lived in England since the year 2010. So they have lived, it's in the past, they have lived in England since 2010, but they continue to live here. So it's something that happened in the past and it continues in the present. We can also use the present perfect structure or sentence form with words such as just, already, and yet. So, for example, if someone asks you, are you hungry? Are you hungry? You could reply with something like, no, I have just had lunch. I have just had lunch. So you're emphasizing the fact that it happened really recently. Although it's not important when exactly it happened, you're emphasizing the fact that it is very recent. And a further example of that would be if someone was to ask you, have you paid your electricity bill? Then you could say, I've already paid it. You could just say, I've paid it. But if you want to emphasize the fact that it's been done, you could say, I've already paid it. If you found this video useful, please remember to share it far and wide. Have a great day, and I'll see you people in the next video. Bye bye, ciao.